Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Carey, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And I'm here for the Friday AMA. That's right. It's the day that I answer your questions. You can ask me anything. And before I get into the question, because I only have one, you will notice towards the end of the show that, well, we're doing things a little bit differently today. Yes, I'm still answering your question, but there was a major press conference a couple of days ago on Wednesday, as a matter of fact, and what I've decided to do is actually air that press conference for you. What was it? Well, you're just going to have to listen to find out. But the press conference is recorded or airing in full, and it's there's still going to be the commercial breaks as usual, unless you're a member of the fans program, and then there's still sort of the music fades and then whatnot, but you don't hear the commercials if you're a member of the fans program. You can learn more at fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. And something that you might notice, even if you're not a member of the fans program, if you wait 3 days after I release the show, then you can still listen to that commercial-free version. Thank you very much to Patreon for putting this thing. I forget exactly what they're calling it, but there's something to where you wind up giving the bonus feature, if you will, to the patrons. The fans is what I'm calling them. Patreon calls them patrons. And then after a set number of days, I just use 3 because that's the default, then the ad-free versions become available for public consumption. Again, fans.fppradio.com. And also want to mention that this coming Monday, the 15th of May, apparently it's been for a while, May 15th has been International Conscientious Objectors Day. I just learned that today. So I'm actually working on something not related to this show or really any of the shows that I do, but I am working on something for Monday. Monday's also the day that I'm competing in that half marathon. So there will be one of the special replays as the episode of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio on Monday. So watch out for that. And again, every Friday, I answer your questions. Send those over ama@fppradio.com. Or, if you want, you can go to ama.fppradio.com. That's right. There's a subdomain for the Ask Me Anything contact form on the website, ama.fppradio.com. Now, getting into the question. And this question was actually submitted in various forms by the same individual calling himself Right Wing Mandela. He sent me a direct message on Twitter, and I normally don't check those, but I got the email, you've got a direct message on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And then he sent a message using that contact form there at ama.fppradio.com. And he also wound up leaving some comments on the audio for one of the newscasts because Spreaker and SoundCloud allow you to do that. I've deleted those comments because they're totally not relevant to the audio that he left comments on. But the comments all revolve around a show appearance that I had about a year ago of, why don't you go back on this guy's show? And the message that was sent via Twitter said, I know he's a madman, but please call in for a surprise against, and I'm not going to even mention the name of the guy or the name of the show. So let me sort of recap what happened. So about a year ago, was sometime June of last year, I had agreed to appear on this guy's radio program and found out about an hour before the show that a friend of mine had passed away. So I was, already sort of having not the greatest day because, when you find out that one of your friends has passed away, it kind of hits you emotionally. So already not having a great day. But still, I've agreed to be on this program, so I'm going to be on the program. And then I get an email saying, hey, we're going to postpone your appearance by 5 minutes. All right, that's fine. Then I get another email. Oh, yeah, we're bumping you back. We're bumping you back. We're bumping you back. And then by the time I'm actually on, it's half an hour after I had already been told that I was going to be on. So, getting kind of frustrated. And then the guy's asking me questions and not letting me answer the questions, and then basically demanding that I tell him how to centrally plan liberty. And then, he winds up basically saying that if you don't pay taxes, you belong in jail. And I said, do I personally belong in jail? Should I go to jail because I don't pay federal income tax and I avoid as many taxes as possible? And he said, yes, Darryl, you belong in jail. And I said, thank you for saying that. Have a good day. And then I hung up. And then he wound up releasing snippets of the audio in a bunch of different manners to make it appear as though I, in his words, had a meltdown multiple times. Which is not what happened. I was having a bad day. This jerkhole was screwing me around, basically doing everything he could to piss me off. And then I later found out that that's his shtick. His shtick is to bring people on and basically piss them off so that he can release these audio clips. And I have no interest in going back on the show. So that's why I don't go back on the guy's show. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Stay tuned. There's more.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And before I change gears here, I want to make sure that I tell you about the wonderful people over at Roberts and Roberts Brokerage. They've been around since 1977 as a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Yeah, you heard that right, buying and selling. You want to get your hands on some gold or silver? go call the people at Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, or you can visit them online at rrbi.co. Telephone number 800-874-9760. I'm holding in my hand right now a 1 gram gold bar that I got from Roberts & Roberts Brokerage. You want to get your hands on some of this? Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage. Maybe you've got some gold or silver. Maybe you have a couple ounces of silver and you need some cash. Well, call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage. They can help you with that as well. Oh, what's that? You want to take advantage of the rise of the Bitcoin price to where the last time I looked, it was right around $1,800. Yeah, that's right. A 1, an 8, and 2 zeros. $1,800 for a Bitcoin. You want to take advantage of the rise in price because you bought it at 1,000? You want to get your hands on some gold and silver and use Bitcoin? You can do that. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage will help you, and they're actually Bitcoin preferred, and they have eliminated the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. So call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. That's 800-874-9760, 800-874-9760, or visit them online at rrbi.co. That's rrbi.co, as in Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Incorporated, rrbi.co. Now, changing gears here, and there's only a couple more minutes before we get into that very important press conference. Something happened yesterday. So you'll hear in the press conference what happened on Wednesday, but something important happened yesterday in New Hampshire, where for the first time ever, the New Hampshire Senate wound up passing something that they call decriminalization. Now, why do I say something that they call decriminalization? Well, it doesn't remove all criminal penalties for possessions of small amounts of cannabis. It just removes most of the criminal penalties for possession of small amounts of cannabis. So the first 3 times you wind up getting busted with less than 3/4 of an ounce, you wind up getting a fine. And the first offense is $100 and it staggers up to $300. And then if you wind up getting a 4th offense in 3 years, then it's a misdemeanor. And anything over 3/4 of an ounce would remain a misdemeanor or a felony, depending on whether or not there's that quote-unquote intent to distribute. So congratulations to the Senate for doing the right thing, kind of. Like, they definitely took a step in the right direction. Passing a bill is better than not passing a bill. And the governor has said that he will sign this, but hopefully next year they will wind up decriminalizing or depenalizing all possession of cannabis. I don't really expect them to do that, but that is the ultimate goal, right? Remove all penalties, both civil and criminal. And then it winds up being, what's my favorite saying? Yeah, that's right, as legal as tomatoes. You go to the grocery store, you can buy as much as you want, assuming that the grocery store actually winds up selling it and they have as much as you're wanting to buy, right? Don't forget, every Friday I answer your questions. Send those over, ama@fppradio.com, and enjoy this very special, very historic press conference. Thank you to Ian Freeman from Free Keene for the audio.
Good morning, and thank you all for coming out. I'm Darryl W. Perry, the chairman of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. The Libertarian Party of New Hampshire is the 3rd largest and fastest growing political party in New Hampshire, and one of 3 ballot qualified political parties in the state. Being ballot qualified will save us countless hours and countless dollars getting our candidates on the ballot in 2018. And for the first time in nearly 2 decades, the Libertarian Party will be on equal footing in regards to ballot access as their Republican and Democratic Party counterparts. 3 months ago, the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire held a press conference inside the Legislative Office building across the street, and we welcomed Caleb Dyer to the Libertarian Party. 3 months ago, we announced that for the first time in nearly 20 years, the New Hampshire General Court would have a Libertarian state rep serving the majority of his term as a Libertarian. 3 months ago, I said I hope that by 2018, the New Hampshire legislature will once again have an officially recognized Libertarian caucus. Now today is another historic day. Today marks only the second time in 45 years that the Libertarian Party has welcomed a sitting Democratic state rep to the party. The other state rep that was a sitting Democrat to join the Libertarians was the late Steve Valancourt, who in 2000 joined the Libertarian Party and was elected as a Libertarian to the New Hampshire legislature in that 2000 election. Today marks the second time this year that a state representative has joined the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. Today also marks the first time in nearly 2 decades that the New Hampshire General Court will have a Libertarian caucus with Representative Dyer serving as the floor leader of that caucus. I look forward to this caucus growing and hope that more classic liberals and civil libertarians in the General Court will join the Libertarian Party and defect from the two-party system, and I look forward to liberty in our lifetime. Please welcome Mr. Arvind Vora, Vice Chair of the National Libertarian Party.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
My name is Arvind Vora. I am the Vice Chair of the Libertarian National Committee. It is an unbelievable honor for me to be here today, to be part of this historic moment. What we see here is one of the youngest caucuses probably in the world that has established itself here in New Hampshire with certain principles. And when I look at the future, here's what I see. I see a group of people that's going to put reality above illusion. These are people who are going to put liberty above paying lip service to liberty. These are people who are going to put people above pretending to put people first. These are people who are not going to be distracted by minor non-issues, but rather people who are going to fight for our most sacred and our most fundamental rights. During the last months, I've gotten to know more about what's happening here. I've gotten to know Representative Dyer, gotten to know some of the great things that are happening over here. And it is without question that I can say that New Hampshire is once again becoming a bastion for civil liberty, for economic liberty, for human liberty. And as we look to the coming years, we look to the millennial generation, we look to the future of America, we can very easily see that this is a generation, that this is a group of people that is tired of the old-fashioned politics, that is tired of pretend politics, that is ready for real politics, for the real politics of liberty, for the real politics of defending individual rights, for the real politics of defending and protecting individual dignity. It is with great honor that I introduce Representative Caleb Dyer. Good morning. It pleases me greatly to stand before you all today to officially welcome Representative Stalcup into the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. Just a few months ago, as I was preparing to leave the Republican Party, I was in a very similar position to the one Joseph finds himself in today. The leadership of the party I was a member of was either actively or passively opposing the majority of my efforts. I felt essentially hopeless that the priorities I brought to Concord for my constituents would ever be fairly heard by the House. I was slowly beginning to realize that I was not so much expected to do the job I believed I had been sent here to do, but rather act as a pawn for an agenda that had been predetermined for us. I then concluded that there were severe, irreconcilable differences between my own principles and those of the party, and thus I made the choice to leave. Many people took my choice to mean that I was not serious about the job I was sent to do. Many believe that I made the switch to attract attention and gain notoriety. Had that been the case, we probably wouldn't have scheduled the press conference during one of the worst snowstorms of the season. My switch was not a symbolic gesture, nor was it an exercise in signaling virtue to the libertarian-leaning members of the Republican caucus. I truly meant what I said in February when I proclaimed, "I believe that it is time to demonstrate to the people of New Hampshire that such a duopoly of partisan interest, which presently controls this House, is not in their interests." I have not had to demonstrate this, as anyone who cares to examine the General Court will surely find that the priorities of the dominant parties do not match their own. I think that most people have already figured out that the partisan duopoly is a sham, but they are confused and frustrated and do not know how to proceed in seeking systemic rectification. I wanted to set an example and show my colleagues and my constituents that they have nothing to fear by declaring their independence from their party, joining together, and establishing a movement to meaningfully challenge their grasp on power. We must meet those who wish to use the mechanism of the state to control the lives of their fellow men here in this court and fight like hell to end their reign. Ultimately, it is not our goal to simply acquire the power they possess and use it for our own purposes, but rather diminish it until people no longer have to pursue liberty, but instead experience it by default. I'm truly humbled to stand before you today and inform you now that we now have another representative who has answered that call and is willing to help me mount this challenge. Through my discussion with Joseph, I have found in him a truly bright and caring man. He has proven he has the courage to think and act for himself, even when surrounded by people who urged him to remain uninquisitive and follow the herd. He had the initiative to go to the Dakota Hills when he saw his fellow man subjected to violence by the state at the behest of corporate interest. He had the audacity to challenge and vote against the ill-conceived positions of the Democratic Party with regards to firearm licensure, civil asset forfeiture, and local control. But most importantly, he had the fortitude to persevere, not lose hope, and make a decision that, although a difficult one, proved his unwavering commitment to the classically liberal principles that have made this state such a wonderful place to live. Today, following this conference, Representative Stalcup and I will head to the office of the House Chief of Staff and formally request to schedule a room in the Legislative Office Building for the purpose of holding our partisan legislative caucus. As the new floor leader of this caucus, I plan to keep our doors open to any and all legislators who find themselves in a similar situation to where we found ourselves. The Libertarian Party welcomes all who have the courage and conviction to live and think freely. I will again leave you with the following words quoted from our state's Constitution. Whenever the ends of our government are perverted, public liberty is manifestly endangered, and all other means of redress are ineffectual. The people may, and of right, ought to reform the old or establish a new government. The doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power is absurd, slavish, and destructive
to the good and happiness of mankind. Thank you.
Hey, this is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've been working with computer programmer Derek Slopey to create Fiend Phone. I'm using Fiend Phone right now to talk with and record one of my co-hosts in real time. Take it, Davi.
Hey, this is Davi Barker, and I'm 1,000 miles away from Michael, but we sound like we're in the same room.
We sure do, Davi. So, Davi, please tell the nice people more about Fiend Phone.
Fiend Phone is free, open-source software that opens up a global world of possibilities for collaborative, high-quality remote voice media production, and I'm digging it.
People can try the Windows beta version of Fiend Phone right now at fiendphone.com. But we're also raising money to vastly improve Fiend Phone and vastly improve independent talk media worldwide.
So go to fiendphone.com to help out. Who will build the audio roads? We will, with your help.
That's fiendphone.com. FEENPHONE.com. Foxtrot, Echo, November, phone.com.
Fiend Phone. I never knew remote audio could be this good.
This is Paige Peterson from Made Safe, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Mark Twain once said, "Sometimes I wonder whether the world is being run by smart people who are putting us on, or by imbeciles who really mean it." I say both. The way it seems to work up here, you're either rising the political ladder or taking orders from those who are. When you're relegated to being a foot soldier, for those that view the phrase, vote your conscience, akin to bless your heart, is it a surprise why I stand here today? My experience was a Cinderella story in reverse. Coming in as a classical, starry-eyed liberal, I was invited to somewhat pricey banquets where people would show little interest in you until they recognized who you were. The clock, however, struck midnight as the first caucus began. Each session, I was handed a list of chores telling me what to vote on for that day. If I did my job well, I was quietly left to my own devices. But if I missed a spot, the passive-aggressive frustration I received from certain individuals was enough to make a wicked stepsister blush. On one such occasion after a vote, I remember a legislator saying to a group while in my presence that maybe we shouldn't have college students doing this job. Even up to the current days, thanks to a press leak, the mere rumors of my involvement in this transition encouraged others to deceive and interrogate me. I will not be a political prisoner, and will continue to speak my mind against hypocrisy. They claim to be against casinos for fear of addiction, yet ignore the lottery's grasp on the poor. They claim to be for criminal justice, though many turned away from a bill that would close the asset forfeiture loophole. They claim to be for the protection of transgender rights, yet didn't even mark that bill as a caucus priority. This isn't a pat on the back of the other side, however, or as their record suggests, the party of gerrymandering and cronyism. For these reasons and many more, I no longer consider myself a Democrat, Republican, or truly anything beyond a concerned citizen that has seen beyond the veil of politics and found that ignorance spreads best with mascots and teams. Even the most stringent socialist must admit that in a democracy where all social programs established can be demolished with a single vote, faith in government rests on a house of cards. It is now more than ever that we need community. And to the fighting over differences, let us work together to leave our imprint on those who need it the most. Let us define ourselves by those who we helped out of the pit of despair instead of leaving a never-ending breadcrumb trail of products and false promises that keep them there. More than ever, let us see ourselves and our actions as the biggest factor in each other's happiness, not what lies in gilded pillars. Fred Hampton was a major proponent in setting up local voluntary programs such as providing breakfast for hungry kids, setting up community schools, and providing free access to healthcare for the impoverished. For this, he was drugged and gunned down in his sleep by the order of the same government agencies meant to protect us. While he and I view the world through different eyes, I pose his words to anyone who dares to work in the people's house. Why don't you live for the people? Why don't you struggle for the people? Why don't you die for the people? Thank you. Woo!
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.